This next story. Joining us today is Michelle. She is a nurse with Sanctuary Hospice. She helped one of her patients, Tim, see a game for the first time. So welcome, Michelle.
Hello, how are you, Rebecca?
So this story is wonderful for all the right reasons. I just love it. And now I think we're all fans of Tim's and his ability to see an Ole Miss game, thanks to you and so many others. But first, how did you and Tim, come in contact? I know you're his nurse, but share with us how you guys met.
Well, actually, he was my first patient to admit as I started work with Sanctuary. My DON and I went out to admit him to our services, and he was kind of like, I don't think I really need this. As many people do, he had the wrong concept of hospice care. He thought it was something that was just for actually imminent dying people, and one of those things that where hospice comes out and we kind of kick you on into the grave instead of helping you with your quality of life and maybe even helping you to get better. And so as I went out there, he lives out in a country or a very rural area, but Tim and I got to talking. I just kind of went over and bent down to his bedside and started talking to him, find out some of his interest, and kind of let him know that actually some of my relatives lives out in that area where he lives, to connect with him and find a common ground, a bond. And so I said, hey, do you know these people? And he's like, yes, I do. And so from that, I said, those are my cousins. And he kind of looked at me. He said, really? And I said, yes. So you have to establish that trust. And so we went from there, and he started asking for some things. Tim is in a wheelchair. He's got a feeding tube along with some other things, some other tubes. And I told him, I said, he was asking, could he eat? Could he do this? And I said, well, on hospice, yes. We can do some things that hospital or long-term care won't allow you to do. So that's kind of where we started, was talking about the things that hospice will allow you to do instead of limit you from doing.
Which really opened him up, and I'm sure gave him a little bit more joy in his life. I mean, if you've only had a feeding tube or maybe certain restrictions, and you get to enjoy some of those favorites again, your whole mood sort of perks up. So how did you guys start talking about Ole Miss or sort of football? When did Tim let you in on his relationship with the Rebels?
Well, that was a no-brainer. He's always got his Ole Miss Rebel blanket on and his Ole Miss Rebel T-shirt on. He's got a little Mickey Mouse bear in the windowsill with Ole Miss Rebels on it. So that was right there obvious. And my son graduated from Ole Miss School of Engineering. So, again, we had another common ground that we could build that trusting relationship. And so I asked him, I said, well, I see you like the Rebels. And I told him I, too, was a Rebel fan. And so if I have my Rebel socks on or my Rebel earrings, we always laugh and share that. And so that was another thing we had to kind of take the focus off of his illness and share something that we could enjoy talking about. And so that's how it always comes up as a topic of conversation. And as college football season started to come up, I would ask, are you going to watch the ball game this weekend? You going to, what's going on? Who you think's going to win? And he would always say, Rebels are. And so I asked him, I said, would you like to go to a game? Because as he started to have his pleasure feedings, is what we refer to eating when you're kind of not supposed to, but we bend the rules a little bit. He said, oh, yeah. Well, I had no idea Tim had never been to a college game at all until we got there Saturday. And his wife leaned over and said, he's never been to a game at all, which just made it even more fantastic.
Well, I love this part of the story where it took a lot of people to come together to get Tim to his first Ole Miss football game. First off, Michelle, you just had the heart to notice an opportunity to do something kind and go above and beyond your own sort of duties or definition as a nurse to see this fulfilled for him. So, I mean, that's the first angel in the line of things that got him to the game. So what happened next?
Well, I don't take that credit at all. It was definitely couldn't have been done like it was done without you guys. SuperTalk, Mississippi is definitely where it happened, and I just came in and talked to our marketing liaison and said, hey, I've got this patient that wants to go to a ball game. That's kind of one of his great wishes. And I said, if I was willing, me and my husband was willing to take him and get the transportation and take our time and just take him over there, could we do that? And she said, I don't see why not. So, and I'd ask his wife, of course, we kind of would go around the corner and talk about his care, and he'd say, hey, I hear y'all whispering in there about me. And he didn't know it was great things. But as I talked to Heather, she said, yeah, let me talk to some of my connections. And she mentioned you guys said, SuperTalk Mississippi is wonderful about helping me out with things. So you guys, it never would have been possible. The seats were amazing. The concession stand was right there. The people at Ole Miss were out of this world, as we kind of were searching for our correct parking area, and you guys gave us the ride to the stadium. We pulled in, and the people at Ole Miss were like, oh, don't worry about that. Just pull right up to the gate and let him out. So we didn't have to even worry about catching a golf cart to get there. They were just over the top. The concession stand was just so close. The seats were folding chairs, on a platform. I mean, it just could not have been better. And that's what he and his wife both said it was just a bird's eye view.
Well, it's the simple things too, Michelle, because you mentioned his pleasure feedings, and we all go to ball games, or some of us get to go, right? And part of that full experience is not only getting to see your Rebels win or your team win, but everything that goes with it. And Tim hadn't had the opportunity to maybe enjoy the finer things of a football experience. So what did he get from the concession stand? What did he get to enjoy?
Well, he got to enjoy nachos. He ate almost a full tray of nachos, and everybody's having a Coke and whatever, and he looked at his wife and he said, I got to have some of those nachos. So she said, what do you think? I said, I think let's let him have some. So he got some nachos, and his wife said he had not had any potato chips at all of any kind since he had gotten home from the hospital. But now I do say that. I don't say, we just let him chow down on nachos. He has been eating. We started him with applesauce, yogurt. He's been eating spaghetti chopped up. So we did slowly graduate him. We have been very logical and used a lot of good common sense with this and built his strength. But he did super with it, enjoyed them so much. And we have definitely talked to Tim and explained to him the risk involved and why he's had to be slowly graduated and why his speech pathologist has been very careful with that and why they told him no at first and the risk that was involved. But Tim has had a long story, and it was definitely, erring on the side of caution when the speech pathologist told him no, he did not need to eat. So we do understand that. But
that is the beauty of when you make it, or when you make that transition, or make that you and your loved ones make the decision for hospice, you get to hopefully enjoy the last whatever you have left with us on here on earth. And I think that's a good too, to remind us the myths around hospice, as well as it's never too late to make a lasting impact in someone's life, even if they are, what the world would say on the way out, right? So what did it mean to Tim and his family, for you guys, SuperTalk, Ole Miss, Sanctuary Hospice? It took a village to make this an opportunity for Tim, and it was worth it, right? Even the smallest thing was worth it.
Absolutely. His wife texted me yesterday and said, I can never thank you enough for what you took your time to do. And, it was absolutely my blessing and the joy to me to be able to do that for them. She looked at us thanking me. I said, no, thank you for allowing me to do this for you. And that's the beauty I love of working at Sanctuary. We never turn anyone down based on payer source. We take anyone. And a lot of providers, I understand money makes the world go round, but, that's the thing with other providers, and I'm not knocking any of them. I'm not saying a thing is wrong with any of those, but sometimes they aren't able to take people based on if they don't have insurance or this. We take anyone. That's our blessing, is that we get to provide that loving care. We don't have to look at that. At the same time, it takes $1.5 million every year. So, we do appreciate those people that commit to us and donate to us. If you can give $5 every month or whatever, it's wonderful, because that's what enables us to do this for people and bless people's lives. We're about to have Sanctuary 20th Celebration Village, coming out this weekend.
And
so
I think
if anybody
SuperTalk's going to be there, Michelle, so you'll have to get out and meet
Yes.
Gerard. I won't be there to give you a hug, but I'm giving you virtual hugs. This is the best story, of the weekend, in my opinion, even though there was some good football that went on. The Rebels won for Tim, so I know he appreciates that.
Yes, they did. They beat Auburn, and he loved it. And, I would do this every weekend. Everybody thinks it's something spectacular that I did. I didn't do anything. The blessing was mine to just get to go make this man's dream come true and see his wife's face light up.
Well,
see him so happy.
We appreciate you, Miss Michelle, but you guys stick with us. We got a few more good things for